Hi there, my name is Abiola Akintoye. I'm a leader and I've been in leadership now for over 25 years. Welcome to a monthly program called Leadership Conversation. This is a program where I'm going to be sitting down with leaders from across different sectors of life and of industry as well. They're going to be sharing with us their leadership journey, and they're also going to be inspiring us on how to become even more effective as a leader. For the purpose of this conversation, leader is someone who influence or have influence over others, either because of their role, because of what they do, or because of their character. And the purpose of the leadership conversation is to inspire emerging leaders and those who desire to improve and become effective as leaders. And it's also to stimulate thought-provoking insights on leadership, and also to share experiences of leadership, from different perspectives, the good, the not so good, and what we can learn from it. So I'm going to be sitting with leaders and I'll be asking them leadership questions. So join me every month for leadership conversation with Adiola. Hi, Tosin. Happy New Year to you. And thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me. Um,
Thank
how,
you.
how was your holiday season?
It has been wonderful. I'm still on holiday mood. I'm still enjoying it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So we're going to be having a lovely conversation with you on leadership. So can you just share with us your leadership journey to date?
Yeah, let me just first talk about myself. My name is Tosin Badeniyi. Currently, I work as a professor at Durban University of Technology, South Africa. Also the founder of Operation Transform, which, plans, which has a mission to empower the community, make a difference in the community. And I'm also passionate about, mentoring young people and telling them about greatness and what greatness is. That greatness is all about service. And I believe we need that in Africa. We need to let young people know that greatness is all about service. And my leadership journey, I would say that since I was young, I've always been involved in leadership. I remember when I was in secondary school, um, myself and some people, we started this group fellowship in secondary school, trying to tell people about Christ. And also, when I was in the university, I was also into one leadership uh, activity or the other. It has been part and parcel of me. And I would say, um, becoming a Christian, having a relationship with Christ, reading the Bible, all those things really, really had an influence in my leadership journey. And also Christ, Christ said that we should make an impact. We should be the salt of the world. We should shine. So all those things are all about being a leader. And to me, leadership is all about influence. Influencing those around you, and influence could be positive or could be negative. And you can be a leader and be a bad leader, but uh, good leaders are people that influence others positively, and I try to be one. And I also believe that a leader is a dealer in hope. And so those that I lead, or those that I mentor, I try to encourage them. uh, Leadership uh, is very, it can be challenging sometimes, because whether whether you like it or not, in life, you're going to have things that will confront you. But as a leader, you must stay positive. You must have hope that things are going to get better. So that's what I just want to say as far as my leadership journey is all about. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's already there's some nuggets in what you've said, deal of hope, being positive. So can you share with us someone who has inspired you as a leader, or who has had a direct impact on your leadership journey, and why?
I'll say my parents. My parents have had, positive influence as far as leadership is concerned. The way they raised me up in the way of the Lord, the way they nurtured me, the way they taught me, what I saw in them, really influenced me. I remember when we're young in those days. I'm from Nigeria, the Yoruba. Aspects of Nigeria, you have so many tribes, but I'm Yoruba. And Yoruba, they will always say something when you're going to school, run to your mind, one shade, that is, remember the son of who you are. They were like trying to make you understand that you must have good character. In Nigeria, there's something they also call Muluwabi, that is, you are a person that should have good character. So the way they brought me up, they tried to inculcate leadership into me, and they lived it. At home, what they did, they lived it, and I'm grateful for how they've been able to impart leadership to me. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would bring kids around our vicinity together, and she would teach them the word of God. And after that, maybe share some drinks and biscuits with them, So I saw all that about what leadership is all about. It's all about training people to be better, trying to add value to people. So, and also another thing I also learned from my dad, because I believe that leaders should also be creative. I also saw that how my dad was entrepreneurial. So I would say I've learned a lot as far as leadership is concerned from my parents. But also, I've also learned from people that are like John Maxwell. I've read a lot of his books. I've also learned about leadership from him, from what I read about. John Maxwell said, everything rises, on leadership. So leadership is very, very important. I would say that apart from my parents, is John Maxwell, from reading his writings. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. There is the understanding that the first person that trains or teaches a child is the parents, and it's great to have parents as the first role model about on leadership, and being able to recognize that as well. So as a leader, I know you've already, indicated some things about leadership, that is important to you. And you've also mentioned your faith as being important to you as well. What other things from your journey do you think is important to be a good leader or an effective leader?
Okay. I think to be an effective leader, apart from faith, I will also talk about the importance of mentoring. So it's very important for you to have good mentors. It's also very, very important for you. People always say, are leaders born, or are leaders, or is this something that people learn? And I believe it's both. Some people are born into leadership, people like, maybe Prince Andrew and things like that. They were born into that, they became a prince, and after some time, maybe some of them will become a king in future, and even for the fact that they are prince, there are certain things they do because of the fact that they are born into it. Other people, they also learn leadership People go to school to learn about leadership. So education is very, very important. So when it comes to leadership, learning, or what you see people do. So that has also influenced me apart from my faith. What you see people do. And another thing is when you start working and you get a job, you go to university, you also learn to become a leader because you get a job, you occupy a position, there are people reporting to you. So you must try as much as possible to know how to lead them. So those are factors that have influenced my leadership. As a professor, you have students that are reporting to you. You have students that you are supervising. What type of leadership skill do you have? So you also learn from your supervisor. How did my supervisor supervise me? Because my supervisor that supervised my PhD was a leader to me. I was always, listening to what she wanted me to do. So you can also learn from people about leadership, people that you have worked with. And most of the time, people that you have worked with, people that have led you, you discover that you also behave like them. There are different styles of leadership that people use. Some people will just allow you to do it on your own. Some people will try and spoon feed you. And sometimes you try as much as you do what you've been exposed to. So apart from faith, it could be your profession, it could be your educational background, all those things have influence on the type of person you turn out, on the types of leadership style that you have. And it could also be what you read, some books that we've read, some of those things that the media, all those facts. There are so many factors that have influenced the way I also lead today, apart from faith. But I would say that my faith in God is the number one factor when it comes to my leadership style. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As a professor, you have students that you mentor, that you help to achieve their objective. Whereas I think you supervise PhD students now. And so can you give us one or two tips on how you empower them?
Okay. What I try to do is for us to have time to always be together. Like in my group, I have a group. We meet regularly. I try to find out, from them about, what's your objective? Because number one, you must have an objective. Why do you want to do a PhD? So I want to know about that. And as much as possible, I try to meet them to find out what is happening. What are the challenges that you have? I try to encourage them to read. Sometimes I even suggest articles that they can read. I might come across an article while trying to read about their project, and I see that topic, I see the article, that the article is good. I try to give it to them. But in my group, we always meet together, to find out the progress we are making. What are the challenges that you have? What can we do to overcome the challenges that you have? I remember we had our last meeting in December, and I was asking two of my students, can you try and grade yourself this year? Look at your performance. What are you going to give yourself from 1 to 10? What are you going to give yourself? And they told me, and I said, okay, this is not good enough. What are you going to do in the following year not to allow it to happen? So I think regular, consultation with my students has been helpful. Another thing is for us to have targets. What do you want to do at the end of this year? Because it's good for us to write it down. What you want to do. Goal setting is also very, very important as far as leadership is concerned. People talk about having a SMART goal. So we do all that. And but another thing I try as much as possible is to encourage them a lot. so that they can be able to come to me. My door is open door policy, because if they're afraid of me, they might not be able to deliver. So we try as much as possible to have a cordial relation. I have a cordial relation with my PhD students, and another thing that I also try and do, I also dedicate, because I know I might not be able to do everything. I have postdocs that are also with me. So because when you're trying to supervise, I'm not doing it alone sometimes. I need to have another person that wants to do the work together, because you have so many students. And if you are doing it alone, you might not be able to give the best to all of them. So sometimes it's good for you to know that you can't do it all alone. You might need a co-supervisor that will also support the students. So what you can do is this: if you have a co-supervisor, you tell the student, first send it to the co-supervisor, do the corrections that one has recommended, and after that, you can now send it to me. So that's what we try as much as possible to do. And sometimes, when they send it to me and I realize that this is not good enough, I can tell them, okay, send it back to my co-supervisor or my postdoc, so that we can correct it. So I try as much as possible to be gentle with them, to be gentle, because Jesus says something. Sorry, I'm quoting Jesus because Jesus is so important to me. Jesus says something about come unto me, all of you that are heavy laden, I'm going to give you rest. Say, take my yoke, learn of me. I'm humble, I'm meek. I believe that great leaders must be humble. Great leaders must be gentle. Jesus said, I'm gentle. So as much as possible, I try my best to be gentle with students, but sometimes I need to tell them the truth. But it's good that they know that they can come to me, they can tell me their challenges, and we can look for ways to overcome. And I try to support them as much as possible. Try to support them, whatever they need. The grant is there. I try to, if you need training, okay, you go for it. And so I try to support them. Try my best. Thank you.
Thank you. Quite a lot of the power of encouragement. One of the things that motivates me is when I get, that encouragement from leaders, and also spending time. I'm sure that takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort as well, to do that. In your leadership journey, I'm sure there would be some really exciting, interesting stories, lessons. Okay, would you like to share with us, one or two examples of, maybe mistakes you've made in your leadership journey that you've learned from, and what you would do differently?
I think some mistakes that I've made, especially when it comes to my leadership journey, and let me use an example, as because I wear different hats as a professor. Sometimes is selecting students to join your team, and other people can learn from it. Maybe you are an entrepreneur, you want to select someone, you want to employ someone, and sometimes you employ someone that will not perform. Sometimes you select people because you're emotional, because they come to you, they try to beg, and you just you just select them like that, and at the end of the day, they don't really deliver. So I think I'm also trying to learn my lesson, because sometimes you want to be compassionate, but going forward, I think I need to really be firm about that. And if not even as a professor, maybe you employ someone to do something. I've also made a mistake there, employing someone to do something, and you're paying the person doesn't do the work. So I've learned from that I really need to look into that and how not to allow that to happen again. And one of the things I'm trying to do is to really come up with some, a set of rules, what I want the person to do. And I tell the person in 1 or 2 months, if you don't do it, this is what is going to happen. So I think that's what I've learned about how to get people that will do the work to join your team. Is very, very important. Selecting people to join my team. I've made some mistakes there, but I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I know that we learn from making mistakes here.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely, managing people to perform or to deliver on certain things is one of the challenges of a leader. And as you said, I guess my question is, how do you balance being compassionate as well as holding people accountable? So that's
What I realize is that okay, when I'm going to be sharing tomorrow, because I write a blog every week. I'm going to be sharing about a performance last year. Last year, when it comes to publishing, which is very, very important in academia, last year was the best year for me, and we really published a lot of work. We're really very successful last year, and so I'm going to be sharing some reflections from that, what other people can learn from that. So what I've realized is this: if you have a team, not all of them will perform very, very well. But at the end of the day, what really matters is this. Talk about Pareto principle. I mean, who are those 20% of your team that will give you 80% of the result? That's what really matters. So as far as I'm concerned, I try. So when it comes to selecting, I won't say I failed, because it might just be 2 people out of the people I've selected that didn't do well. But when you look at generally, as a team, we've done very well. We've done exceptionally. And sometimes you might not, I should not be hard on myself. So there's nothing you can do. Sometimes out of the people you select, maybe just 1 or 2 is okay. But if as a team, you guys are doing very well, I think it's okay. So which we are doing very, very well. So, but to me, you want to be compassionate. But the time comes that you say, okay, you have it. I just really fire somebody recently. I've been, I appointed a person, and after some time, the person didn't really do the work. I just said, okay, after months, I just said, look, and the person told me, look, I'm sorry, I knew I didn't do what you told me to do, because I will just pay you the money. So the guy was not, the person was not that annoyed, but the time comes that you have to put your foot down and say, look, this is it. So you want to be compassionate at the same time. When you have got to make a decision, when someone has not done the work you've told the person to do, you need to let the person go. But the person will also know that, look, he or she failed. In the way you relate with the person, you have to treat the person as a human being. The way you talk to the person, you have to be respectful. So that's what I try as much as possible to do. Yeah.
Making that decision to fire somebody is not very easy. As you said, seeing them as human being, talking to them, and making them get to that understanding themselves as well. Thank you so much for that insight. I want to move to a passion of yours, which is innovation. I know it's innovation and entrepreneur. We'll focus on innovation for this conversation. Maybe we'll get you back to come and talk about leadership and entrepreneurship. So how do you define innovation, and why is innovation important as a leader? And how could leaders inspire their team, to be innovative?
Okay. My definition of innovation is creativity plus entrepreneurship. Creativity is having a novel idea, and entrepreneurship is taking the idea to the market. And sometimes when you take an idea to the market, you might not, it's not all about making profits. Sometimes you want to create value. And so that's innovation to me, and it's very, very important to me. Someone that is a researcher, you need to be creative. You have to think about ways to come up with new ideas, and you take the idea to the lab, you create things, you develop things, you write about what you've developed, and that's what we do. And and to me, if you're going to be doing that, you must be observant. You must be curious. You must ask questions. You must read a lot what people have done. And when you've read what people have done, you want to ask yourself, what is missing? What's the gap here? And you want to try and see how you can fill the gap. And it's all about connecting things. There's nothing new under the sun. It's nothing new, but you want to see, what can you add to it to make it different? How can you change it that is going to be beneficial? So to me, innovation is very, very important. And I believe that leaders must be innovative, and it's important for you to also encourage your team to be innovative. It's all about connecting things. So that is all about how can you change things. If your team sees how you behave, they will also follow suit. So innovation is very, very important. And you also need to do research. Research is another thing that is very important as far as innovation. Research is very, very important. And feedback. You want to ask people sometimes, what do they need? Someone said innovation is trying to know the job to be done. Because if you know the job to be done by people, you can always be innovative. Take, for example, if you come across a problem. Recently, I know someone that is trying to send money from one bank in Africa to another bank in the US. And for days, the money didn't get to the account. It sent it from Africa to the US. And that's a problem. That's a job to be done. So how do you solve that problem? So if you can come up with a faster way of solving that problem, a cheaper way of solving that problem, then it can become a company. And that's why you have so many apps these days, so many companies coming up. Some of them are into payments. These days, there are so many of them also from Nigeria, Paystack, people coming up with different, solutions to so many problems. So it's all about knowing jobs to be done. What are the things people want to be done? Once you know that, then you can come up with that solution, and it can become a big business for you. So it's all about asking questions, keep asking questions, keep thinking, and it's all about that. Thank you.
Thank you. So we keep asking the questions, and whenever there's a problem, there's always a solution. Thank you. Have you had you mentioned mentoring, and you do mentor a lot. So what tips, maybe in addition to what you've said, or even a repetition of what you said, for somebody that is just coming into leadership, so somebody that is just having an influence, responsibility over others, what tip would you give them? Maybe the first few things that you need to do just coming new into leadership.
Yeah. If I were to give tips to emerging leaders that there are certain things I want to let them, understand. Number one is courage. It takes courage to be a good leader. They must be courageous. So courage is very, very important. You must be bold. You must not be afraid. And you must not be afraid of even making mistake, because it takes courage not to be afraid of making mistake, because I know if you make mistake, you are going to determine to learn from your mistake and to get better next time. So courage is very, very important for leaders. Another thing that I also want to emphasize is humility. Leaders must be humble. Leaders must not be proud. You must respect people. Someone said, was it maybe Jesse Jackson that said, the only time that you should look down on anyone is when you're trying to lift them up. So leaders must be humble. Leaders must not be proud. And the last I also want to emphasize is you must keep learning. Leaders must keep learning. I'm sure you've heard about the quotes. Readers are leaders. So you must keep learning. You must learn from people, about leadership. And the best person that really has taught us about leadership about Jesus Christ. Jesus came from heaven. He became a man. He humbled himself. That's talking about humility. And Jesus also told us about the type of leadership we must have, not the type of leadership in the world. He says the type of leadership is followers must be a kind of leadership that must serve people. So I want to encourage leaders to serve others and not to be afraid, like what I said the other time, to make mistakes. Okay, thank you. That's what I just want to, emphasize.
Thank you. Not to be afraid to make mistakes. And finally, if you were to look back on your leadership journey, maybe when you are old and gray, what do you want your legacy to be? One thing that you want your legacy to be?
What I think I just want to, in future, what I want people to be able to say is that here lived a man that loved people, because what should be at the heart of leadership is about love. That loved people, that gave to people, that shared with people, that imparted people. But what I think should that wants to be at the center of all that is love. That love people. That's what I want people to be able to say about me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Tosin. This is really powerful. The art of leadership is love. That's a conversation on its own.
Yeah.
Well, and I love it, because leadership is about people. We don't lead things, we lead people, and having that heart, a heart that loves people is a very good, is a fantastic legacy to leave. So thank you so much for joining us, and of
You're
course,
welcome, Adila. Thank you so much for inviting me.
you're welcome. You're welcome. If you want to connect with Professor Tosin, his details is going to be at the end of this video. So yeah, have a lovely time,
Thank you.
and talk to you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.